What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the Brown Gent. I know I haven't made videos in quite a while. In fact, it feels a little weird to be in front of the camera because it's been so long. Now, I used to make videos pretty much every single day, but I've been underwater. And what I mean by that is I have been traveling a ton. I haven't been back in Canada for that much, and I will be going back on the road, traveling back to Europe, traveling to other parts of Canada. But I wanted to make this video, and I'm gonna make a couple videos while I'm back here for a few days. The first one I want to talk about is what's going on with Zomedica. This morning at 7 a.m., I got an email that made my jaw drop. I posted it in our free public Discord. If you're not part of that, what are you waiting for? It's free. Discord.thebrownjet.com. We talk about everything there. Now, before I get into anything, remember, this is not financial advice. I am not your financial advisor. Any idiot can turn on a camera. So please do your own research. Now, if we get into it, and what is that big news you say? Well, it has to do with Zomedica, our favorite pet healthcare stock. And for those of you who've been keeping on top of Zomedica's price action, it hasn't been too pretty. Today, they were up a little over almost 4%, after hours and during, so actually 5%. Over the last 5 days, they've been down about 3.5%. Last month, down about 10%. In the last 6 months, down about 18%. And remember, this is a stock that I've told you from the get-go. I keep buying it in certain ranges and selling it in certain ranges. And I know a lot of people, I wish I could post comments here and show it. They tell me, hey, either I don't believe, and they were kind of like one extreme or the other. You either were like, nah, man, I'm not selling a single one of my shares until we hit the moon, or you're someone saying, hey, I don't know if this company's going to do well. And sometimes it was the same person, which is funny, right? And what I would say there is, this is why you've just got to watch for patterns, right? Like, history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure rhymes. Now, today, if you look on Zomedica's website, this is investors.zomedica.com. They released a press release talking about the acquisition of the platform developer of Truforma. We know them as Qorvo Biotech. This is a company that was partnered with Zomedica with the initial launch of Truforma. Now, I've always told you guys, mergers and acquisitions are the bread and butter of that will make this company profitable. Truforma has made relatively nothing, and I'll be honest with you, I don't see that changing for quite a while. So then why am I so pumped up about this announcement? Because all this is just like sort of the acquisition of Qorvo Biotech, and shouldn't that just affect Truforma? Well, not really, but you know what? Let me walk you through the announcement, and then I'll explain what I mean, okay? So they announced today, this morning, that they were going to announce the acquisition of Qorvo Biotech. Basically, this sort of subsidiary is focused on the development of point-of-care diagnostic solutions. They utilize the bulk acoustic wave sensor technology, which is what is the fundamentals behind Truforma. They talk here a bit about how this sort of point-of-care diagnostic platform, they built it for the sort of SARS-CoV-2 antigen tests. And as we know, they also sort of built Truforma point-of-care diagnostic platform, which really hasn't taken off. Remember, they would sell one unit every single earnings cycle, and it's really been PulseVet and other parts of the company which they acquired that has really made them not profitable yet, but that's brought in the lion's share of revenue. So what they say is, with this acquisition, we fully acquire QBT, which has been developing and manufacturing on Truforma platform, the instrument, software, and the assays. Our primary focus with this acquisition will be on capturing margin improvements by assuming QBT's manufacturing systems instead of building out our own manufacturing processes, as well as accelerating assay development for the Truforma platform. The acquisition will also help us avoid future operating and capital expenses by building R&D and manufacturing staff internally, as well as eliminating remaining payments, including licensing fees, transition fees, and future royalties. So every time we go through earnings, I tell you sort of one thing that we got to do, or actually two things we got to do to increase profitability. You either increase your revenue or you reduce your expenses, or you can do both. With this move, they're definitely doing both. The idea here is more different types of assays. Maybe it will sort of help truforma catch fire, but at the same time, they're going to reduce their expenses. You saw here, like by bringing QBT in-house, you all of a sudden eliminate any future things you owe, the payments, the royalties, but also like any of the sort of expenses that you would have paid out externally. Now that it's part of the company and it becomes part of the value proposition, you won't really have to pay for it. Now, with the acquisition, includes both the human and vet health components of QBT's business. Their focus is still the vet space, and they'll be considering various strategic options for capturing value from the human health part of the acquired business. And this, by the way, is the part that gets me most excited. Even before I read this line, what I was thinking about was, what about everything else that Qorvo can build or is building? Because basically we just bought another business. Remember, if you think about Zomedica as just like ABC company, all I want ABC company to do at this point is just buy a bunch of successful businesses, operate them, have strong management, and basically build up equity. In fact, like if it wasn't for PulseVet, which is bringing in the lion's share of revenue, I think truforma would have gone bust by now. I'll be honest with you. Truforma by itself has not done anything, like very minimal. Now, they keep saying in their earnings reports that this is like the secret sauce. This is what we have to look forward to. So I'm hoping at some point they have a plan to get the traction they want. Yes, they had the customer appreciation program, but what has that really done, right? All we can do is, the proof is in the pudding. Check out their earnings results. This is what will tell us what truforma is going to do. What I'd like to see is how much revenue Qorvo brings us in every single 3 months. I'm also going to be looking to monitor the reduction in expenses now that they've sort of brought in QBT. They didn't give timelines for when this acquisition will close or the price that they're paying. But one thing I do want to flag to you guys, and this is the other thing, take a look at how much cash and cash equivalents they have on hand. I always tell you guys, with these startup companies, you want to make sure they have enough cash for operations, especially when they're starting to acquire other companies, because if they don't have enough cash, you know what they're going to do. They're going to dilute the shares, and we're the ones who are going to have to pay for it. If I see that Qorvo costs $120 million, let's just say, then I know that another round of fundraising is about to start, whether they go through sort of the preferred channel route with preferred shares, which I actually hate because it's even worse than dilution, because the company ends up paying like these insane loans for, like small money now for future payback later, not really worth it. And the other thing overall is the dilution, right? So like when dilution happens, they create more shares, we're the ones who pay for it because our shares conceivably become worth less, right? You take the market cap of the company divided by the number of shares, and that's how much your share should technically be worth. So the more shares they create, obviously the worse for those who currently hold the shares. So just keep an eye on this. And sort of the last thing I want to talk about is take a look at this chart. I drew this for you in so many videos before. I showed you the ranges in which I sell and the ranges in which I buy. Well, there's the last time we went to a range where I sold was back in mid-July. I sold a bunch of Zomedica in this range, and I have been buying Zomedica after we broke through this range about two-ish months ago. And I remember when I was saying, hey, we weren't even coming close to this range. We kept going up and down over here, and people were like, just buy. Come on, TBG, just buy. And I was like, nope, I'm holding steady because I know exactly how these things go. Things don't just go straight down, and things don't just go straight up. And now It's not a bad buying opportunity. Am I going to say that this is sort of the cheapest it'll be? Who knows? But we know that the local low for this year was back, or I guess at the end of last year, was sitting at about 16 cents, 15.8. And we came very close to testing this support level just a few days ago. Now, for those of you wondering, like, what's going on with Zomedica, well, it's sort of absence of news and not much good news with the exception of today. But also just take a look at SPY. Take a look at SPY over here. SPY's local high was in July, which is sort of where we saw Zomedica recently, right? Zomedica's local high, like in the last, 5 months, was back in July. We hit like 24, 25 cents and come down. Over here, we had like 450 to like 457, and now we're at 424. So we've dropped like about like 5 or 6%, and Zomedica has dropped like 20 to 40%, I think, from that. We look at, where is it, 25 to 16? Yeah, probably like 30-ish%. And that's not to that shouldn't be a surprise to you. What I always tell you, when everything is going green in the market, people are so much more reckless. They're willing to put money into things without really caring so much. When people think the sky is falling, they start selling the companies that are startups. They start wanting to like consolidate onto the tried and trues, the Apples, the Disneys, the Teslas. And that's why those companies tend to just sort of do better overall in these kind of markets. People just want to put their money in something safe. And Zomedica, by the way, like, while I may believe in it, I don't believe it's a safe place to put money. And I don't believe most people, when they have sort of critical money, which is money they can't afford to lose, would want to put it in Zomedica. Zomedica is more of that company you put in when you are okay with losing. And right now, the market is not favoring those kind of investments. So what'll happen is, as you see the SPY and sort of the NASDAQ not like really like sort of correct, the SPY is doing a lot worse than the NASDAQ right now. But yeah, and the SPY is sort of the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ is really like the tech sector, right? What you really have to do here is just think, hey, there will be a sunny day. And if the company sort of has all the right things going on for it, that we think it will, then the stock should go up. But it won't go up until people have confidence in the market. And that's what I think a lot of people forget. Remember, the other thing here is, like, you can't get bored. You can't be looking at your shares every day. You can't be looking at the stock price hoping it'll move. Go do other things. Go to the gym. Hang out with your friends. Remember, the market's here forever. The market's here when you sleep. The market's here when you wake up. At the end of the day, just like make sure you have alerts set, or you have, like, what I do is I actually have pre-filled buy and sell orders ready. So I'm not sitting here having to go check everything. In fact, when Zomedica dropped significantly, I got a text message on my phone saying, filled this order. And I'm like, oh, wow. I guess Zomedica dropped that much. But I'm not watching these things all the time. Like, it's so hard to do so. And also, it's not good for your mental health. I mean, it's fantastic when things are going the way you want. But when they're not, or they're going so slow, you kind of get bored. You kind of want a move to happen. And then maybe you sort of take the money out of here somewhere and put it somewhere else. And then that doesn't move, and the one that you moved out of moves. So I try to keep it easy, set it and forget it. Create your like buy and sell orders. Put like good till canceled if you want to. And that way you don't have to sit here and watch. And I'm sure that people you know will message you when things are going up or down significantly with a stock that you own, especially if you talk to them about it, especially if they own it. Let somebody else monitor it for you. In fact, if you subscribe to this channel, which I hope you have, you should see any big moves in the stock and any big announcements. You'll get a notification from me. So make sure you hit the bell icon so that way you don't have to check the stocks. All right? So that's sort of my approach, and that's sort of what I think you should do. Also, remember, like I said, I will not be making consistent videos for at least another month and a half, because I will be doing maybe 3 to 4 weeks of traveling within that period of time. If you want to sort of know what's going on with me, follow me on Instagram, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, follow me on Twitter. All that tech is up there. And then basically, if you have to, or if you want to, we got a free public Discord. Check this out. I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, I will see you in the next video. video. Thanks for watching.